you run on coffee, love the aroma of the brew, and your favorite part of the day is sipping a delicious cup of coffee, then this edition of Health Options is one you must watch, as you will get to know about the good, the bad, and the ugly side of one of the most popular beverages in the world. Now, asked to give your opinion on Nigerian nurses, what will it be? Positive or otherwise? Stay with us as we beam our searchlight on quality assurance in the nursing profession. It's glad to have you join us on this week's edition of Health Options. Welcome to the program. I am Rabi Abdullah. This is Health Options, and we're looking at quality assurance in the nursing profession. We first of all take you to the streets to know what people have to say about Nigerian nurses.
They are competent in what they are doing, but most of these nurses end up leaving Nigeria to other countries to practice. So government should try to put that in place so that our nurses can practice.
They are good, especially the matrons. Before one will be a nurse, you must be somebody who is humble and sympathetic.
They attended to me when I go to them, when occasion demands, and I enjoy the treatment they give to me. There are some complaining that maybe they are very harsh, they don't attend to patients, this and that, but me, I've not had such an encounter.
Nigerians there with divergent opinions about Nigerian nurses. Joining me in the studio to discuss quality assurance in the nursing profession is the Secretary General and Registrar of the Nurses and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, Farouk Umar Abubakar. Welcome to Health Options, Mala Farouk.
Thank you.
All right. We're discussing a critical, element of health professionals, talking about nurses. Okay. I don't know, I just love nurses. I love to see them wearing their sparkling white uniform and all of that. So, but somehow there's been tales not too pleasant about Nigerian nurses. Let's begin with that. A lot of people have one or two not too good to hear things about nurses, especially their attitude in hospitals. Can we start from there? Why do some nurses tend to be cantankerous in their behavior towards patients?
All right, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to speak on this area of our professional endeavor. As you rightly said, the attitude of nurses in the hospital have been a major concern of the public. And these have been a problem that is even given concern to the council. And that's why, in that directions, we have intensified effort to ensure nurses were given adequate training and retraining in terms of their ethics, and ensure that they should be modified in terms of the attitude, in terms of approach while handling patient, because it's the area of concern of patient. And in line with that, we make sure that within the time from your school, you must undergo what is referred as continuous mandatory professional program that enrich your knowledge and skills, all aim to change their attitude positive toward client and patient when it comes to hospital. And this is what the council has been doing. And in line with that, we also ensure that nurses must attend mandatory professional development program, and that attract a minimum of 6 credits before your practicing license is also renewed. All it is aimed to change their attitude to positive in order to be able to give quality care to the client and public of Nigerians.
Okay, so as a council, how do you sanction erring nurses, those who had gone, gone foul of the virtues that Florence Nightingale, stood for?
Yeah, as a council, it is clear, the laws that establish the act is clearly state that at each state of federation we have a standing committee referred as the National Military Committee. And these committees is chaired by the directors of each state, and they are expected to coordinate the entire nursing activities, both education and practice. And they are expected, and the members of this committee are the head of nursing in each of the hospitals in that particular state are members, and they are expected to report cases. And periodically, they are expected to visit the hospital and ensure how the nurses work, what are their challenges, and how is their attitude. And the erring ones are expected to be referred back to this committee, and this committee investigated the cases that was reported and sent to the council, because at the council we have a tribunal. And this tribunal is also established to ensure that the erring nurses are punished according to the law. Okay. And this is how we handle cases.
Okay, I know that shortage of human resource for health is an issue. It's a global issue, but that is more pronounced in some countries, and we know that Nigeria belongs to those some of those countries that have a shortage of human resource for health. Would you say that we have enough nurses in this part of the world, going by the WHO recommendation, talking about the ratio of nurses to patients?
Yeah, I cannot say Nigeria we have enough, but we are not doing bad in terms of productions or training of nurses because in this part of the world. I want to state clearly that averagely Nigeria produces an average about 11,000 nurses and midwives, and that are expected to meet the demands of Nigeria, public or Nigerians at large. And in spite of this, you find some of our nurses are rated as one of the best in the world, and that's why you find there is higher number of nurses leaving this country for greener pasture, for any other reason. So we not mean that we have enough, but we are doing our best, and the number of nurses we have, they are doing their best. And one of the major challenges we have is the issue of employment, which is general maintenance affecting any part of the country, especially at the state level and local government level.
A country that still, records high maternal and child mortality, and knowing fully the critical role that nurses and midwives have to play, especially when we're always, harping on the fact that we need skilled attendants at the point of delivery. Yeah. I mean, so how do we close that gap? You just mentioned, unemployment. Should we be experiencing that, in this critical subsector?
To close that gap, as a council, we are doing all that we could to ensure that we make this professional available. Just to tell you, last month we released the result of a professional midwife, and about 2,648 were qualified midwives, and they are now available. And the question is, who employ them? Now we left for the three tiers of government to employ them: federal, state, and the local government. And most of the time, last few years back, about 3 to 4 years, the federal government came out with an initiative which referred the mandatory community midwife, which necessitated every midwife must spend 12 calendar months in the rural areas before she is registered and practiced as a professional midwife. And that policy has yielded positive results. But unfortunately, that program was crushed by local governments and the state, some of the state, because they are unable to fulfill part of the agreement. These midwives were fostered in the rural areas. They were abandoned, no little allowances. Some of them could not have even the accommodation. Leaving only the federal that are given the substantial, paying the allowances of these midwives. So you find most of the times midwives were abandoned for a number of months, no salary, no allowance. Some of them were not even given the basic facilities that require accommodation and what have been at the rural areas. But actually, that one-year mandatory has made a positive impact to the life of Nigerians and has reduced the toll of infant and mortality in this country.
So a lot depends on states and local governments really getting involved and doing the needful, playing their own parts where this is concerned to really make it work, right?
Yeah, exactly. If the state and local government should now fulfill this aspect, because the way the program is structured, at the end of 12 calendar months, a midwife is at liberty to be employed by the local government or the state, and she can be able to continue serving the community. But unfortunately, even the allowances, some of the state are not paying. And this midwife, they will do option rather to leave the rural areas to the urban areas, where they are employed mostly by the teachers.
A lot of them are even the countries. That's why we have the issue. Brain drain in the nursing profession, right?
From our record, I want to tell you that we have an average of about 3,500 nurses and midwives in this country. These are the ones that
on an annual basis?
On an annual basis. That leave this country, these are the ones that apply through the verifications and letter of good standing before they leave. These are the ones that have record. What was all that leave this country through either my sister or
undocumented.
Undocumented. Wow. These are one which we have, because Nigerian nurses and midwives, I believe, are one of the best in the world. And most of the part of the world, they are also looking for these nurses and midwives. Despite, not only in Nigeria we have the shortage, other part of the world, they are also having the shortage of midwives. So they are taking advantage of some of our shortcomings and now employ our nurses and midwives.
Okay, so what are you doing to curb quackery and other vices that some of your nurses indulge in? We've had cases of fake nurses being arrested here and there. What are you doing?
Yeah, what we are doing as a council, we have a standing committee at the state level, and these committees, they are empowered by relevant section of the Act to go and visit any health institution at their state level, ensure these nurses, are they qualified, are they licensed to practice, if they are not. And I want to acknowledge the effort of security agents that are teaming up with the state nurse and midwifery committee, and most of them have been arrested and now been appear before a court of jurisdictions, and we have so many cases in Lagos, even here in Abuja, and where some of these that were arrested as crack nurses were arraigned before the court, and the trial is ongoing as usual.
So what about the ones going beyond their boundaries? We've had cases where you see a nurse setting up a clinic in her home and, playing the role of a doctor, a pharmacist and all of that. They are bound. How do you fish such out? What do you do to such?
They are still part of cracks, and these are within the jurisdiction of this committee to checkmate and see, are they qualified, are they licensed, are registered by National Military Council Practice. If they are not, then obviously they will be apprehended.
Sometimes back you inducted foreign trained nurses.
Yeah.
Has it always been?
Yeah, these are also additional effort the country is making, because Nigerians, they have multiple opportunities going outside to be trained, and after you have trained, we have laid down guidelines before we register anybody that will train outside the country. And that's what we did after they have undergo 6 months adaptation programs in the selected universities of their interest. They pass the professional examination conducted by National Military Council, then we induct them so that to ensure that we have certified them to work in Nigerian public, that we assure they are competent professionally to practice anywhere in Nigeria and beyond.
Okay.
That's what we do.
What are the qualities of a good nurse?
Well, qualities of a good nurse, after attaining the required knowledge and skill, he or she must be dedicated, must be empathetic, must be competent, must be hardworking, must be a person who always show empathy and sympathy while caring for his client at all times. These are some of the qualities of a good nurse.
As if I go to the hospital in my pains and a nurse is not helping matters with her attitude, how am I supposed to handle that? Or how are my family members supposed to handle that?
Fine. This is that's why we make it open, and even in each hospital we ensure we create what is called the quality assurance. It's part of the tool that we ensure each institution, especially the tertiary and secondary, we must have a department of nursing that is responsible for that. These are responsible to receive complaint from clients, and it is suspected, and that's why I tell you, each member, the head of nursing at that institution is a member of that committee, and such cases are expected to be reported as reported by the family members for mishandling, for any other ill treatment that was done. And as long as the case comes down, we have such cases even up to the level of tribunal. And as long as such cases were investigated, and we now make the nurse appear before the tribunal and now pay the consequences. We have a number of different measures up to the withdrawal of licensing of that individual for a number of times for what he did to the client and to the public. So all we are advising the client should be able, or rather endeavor to refer such cases to the head of nursing services of that hospital. And I'm sure they are ready to take relevant sanctions on that area nurse.
Okay, just before we go, how many registered nurses do we have at the moment?
Presently, we have over 330,000 professional nurses and midwives.
Okay.
Yes. And these are of different categories. The general nurses, which is about over 183,000, midwives over 120,000, while other categories of specialities we refer as post-basic and they are over. There are different cadres. So that give us this number of over 330,000 nurses.
Okay, so I'm sure Nigerians look forward to, having to deal with nurses who show empathy, compassion, all the beautiful things that Florence Nightingale was known for, I guess. Okay, on that note, we thank you so much, Farouk Umar Abubakar, for making our time to join us on Health Options.
Thank you very much.
Moving on now, there is a quote that 3 cups of coffee a day keeps the doctor away. Just as experts have warned that too much coffee consumption can cause serious medical conditions. Interestingly, findings indicate that there is a growing taste for coffee consumption among Nigerians, particularly among the young, middle class and the well-traveled. Join us on Our Nature Scanner as we take you through the good, the bad, and the ugly side of coffee.
The place of coffee is actually controversial. Controversial scientifically. It's controversial because there are a lot of studies to show that coffee is beneficial to health. There are also a lot of studies to show that coffee can have adverse effect on human health. Health researchers like us conclude that it is safer to encourage people to take coffee in moderate quantities and then discourage people from becoming addicted to coffee. Coffee is generally produced from roasted, ground and roasted coffee beans. And naturally, the process of roasting results in production of so many compounds that are contained in coffee. By the way, coffee contains more than 1,000 different chemical compounds, and many of them are useful, and a lot of them are also of adverse effect to man's health. Caffeine is one of the most popular chemical components of coffee. Caffeine itself belongs to a group of chemical compound we call methylxanthine. Almost all of coffee is absorbed in the stomach and the small intestine, and also distributed to all tissues of the body, including the brain. When people drink coffee, you see, the body has what we call adenosine receptors. Their role is as neuromodulatory agents. In other way, it affects the neurological system, the central nervous system, majorly inhibitory effects. Now, what components of coffee, such as caffeine, does is to antagonize this inhibitory effect of this agent. When it antagonizes it, it means that technically it is stimulating the central nervous system. So we say caffeine stimulates the central nervous system. And stimulation of the central nervous system results in the person becoming agitated. In other words, the person becomes more active. Some people become hyperactive. It goes to tell you why some people will drink coffee and they're no longer able to sleep. It also results in acute increase in blood pressure, or kind of. You see, so we don't call it hypertension at that stage because it's not. It has to be sustained for it to become clinically described as hypertension. But it results in elevated blood pressure. You also see the person. It also increases diuresis. You see the person getting to urinate more often because most part of the system is now stimulated, and so there's increase in metabolic activities. Remember that coffee has very good and pleasant aroma and flavor. Now, so together with the stimulatory effect of caffeine and this aroma, gradually you become addicted to taking coffee. You just have to take coffee all of the time. You become addicted to it. So you begin to come down with the adverse effects of coffee. A standard cup of coffee, which is between 200 to 240 mils or 7 to 8 ounces, contains about 3 to 400 milligram of coffee. This is scientific. This is based on empirical studies in our laboratories. What has been proven scientifically is anybody taking between 1 to 4 cups of coffee a day is actually doing a good thing, because all the different organs of the body, such as the heart, the kidney, the liver, general body systems, benefit when you take this minimal amount or volume of coffee in a day. However, scientific studies have also shown that excess of 7 to 10 cups a day is detrimental to health. It results in so many of the diseases that are found in our society today. There's a difference between brewing coffee and instant coffee or percolative coffee. When coffee is boiled, like you find in France espressos or Turkish coffees, you are going to have a lot of 2 chemical compounds in coffee being extracted into the coffee in your coffee cup. They are called caffeistol and KOL. These 2 compounds have been implicated in cardiovascular problems specifically. This is one of the easiest ways to have elevated cholesterol in the blood, by drinking brewed coffee. In fact, our studies have shown that brewed coffee contains 10 times the amount of caffeistol or KOL or caffeine compared to instant coffees. Fortunately, what I see a lot of us do around our own environment here is not brewing of coffee. I think I see a lot of people just put their coffee instantly, prepare instant coffees and drink. But if you go to many of these countries, and I also know that a lot of our VIPs who travel a lot to those parts of the world have copied it into Nigeria, because I've been in the office of a very big man where the secretary was actually brewing coffee, and everybody in the waiting room knew that something serious was being prepared. Unfortunately, the big man was actually preparing for death more quicker than he should do by doing that kind of a coffee preparation. Some of the problems that we also get from people that consume a lot of coffee is they are not just coffee drinkers, they are also alcoholics and cigarette smokers. So any cigarette smoker or an alcoholic who is a coffee drinker is actually moving gradually to the grave, and is the one that is preparing it for him or herself, because nicotinic acid is one of the chemicals in coffee, and cigarette smoking has a lot of nicotine, so these are the complexities surrounding this beautiful gift of nature, which we can use to the benefit of ourselves, but which, like we say in pharmacy, that every drug is a poison depending on the dosage or dose which you use.
Like we have always told you on this program, moderation is key. But sipping coffee in reasonable amounts just might be one of the healthiest things you can do. Sticking to those boundaries shouldn't be hard for coffee drinkers in this part of the world. This is where we wrap up this edition of Health Options. You can watch the upload of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi Abdullah. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
Zuma Film Festival 2019. Theme: Content Connectivity. Date: 1st to 7th December 2019. Venues: Jabi Lake Mall and NAF Conference Center, Abuja. Submission of film entries opens July 1st and closes October 30th, 2019. All film entries are to be submitted through the Film Freeway, www.filmfreeway.com/Zuma Film Festival. For sponsorship, partnership, participation, and other inquiries, please call 003-3146-842 or 003-6740997 or 006-3390-420. Visit zumafilmfestival.gov.ng or email zumafilmfestival@gmail.com. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibilities.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Are you an entrepreneur? Do you have an existing business or great business idea? Then Africa's Young Entrepreneurs Empowerment Nigeria, ION, is a program for you, where thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs will be empowered with business funding, mentorship, specialized skills training, and equipment. To register for the ION 2019 program, visit www.ion.ng. Fill in your personal and business